Everyone has a story. Everyone has... People tend to judge and interpret behavior without going to the source of that behavior. Like, they say that every saint, has a past and every sinner has a future. And it's so true. You can't... I don't know. People can change and people make mistakes and people are human, and you kind of need to love them for that. And I hope that people take that away, finding a way to love their imperfections and love themselves. And really, you can't truly accept other people until you accept yourself, and you can't really accept yourself until you accept other people. It kind of all weirdly goes hand in hand. And when you show kindness and compassion for yourself, then you're able to extend it, and it's all inextricably linked.
Desire can sometimes trump talent. Think about that. So that you may not have as much talent as you think you have. But if you have the desire, your talent will find you.
Essentially, and I would say this to anybody, is that, it's really, it's easy to embrace hopelessness when things seem insurmountable. And yet, it's actually just a matter of time until all of the elements come together for things to be all right. I mean, I believe that, most difficult situations will resolve themselves if you are persistent and if you don't give up entirely. And that's what I never did. I never gave up.
What gives me strength all the time is to be able to have formulated a group of people around me that are my friends and my family. Those two words are enmeshed in my opinion, but it's given me a grounding that, as insane as my life can be sometimes, is always refreshing, and they're always so honest with me, and I'm so thankful for that.
Go with your gut, there's a reason why you think the way you do and want to do the things you do, and you just can't let anybody tell you don't do it. But especially you. Don't allow you to tell you not to do it. Mm. The loudest voice that's a contrarian is usually me. And all these little moments of confirmation that voice should just shut up allows you to just do what you're supposed to do while you're here.
I haven't actually been given a piece of advice that I can recall right now, but I guess when anyone asks me, like, what should I do? I'm just like, just do anything. Anything will lead to something else, and you just got to get out there and take a chance. Even if it's unpaid work, whatever it is, it will lead to something better, so do everything.
So, it's called, Men of Tai Chi, and there's these things that we oftentimes, we have responsibilities, and so we'll make sacrifices, or we'll be attracted to something, and we'll make sacrifices to get something. And the film is kind of promoting the idea that we have to be thoughtful about that, that you can sometimes sacrifice yourself, that you think it's for the good, but maybe there's another way.
Important to listen to everyone, as many people as you can, and get their input, but then finally you have to make your own decision about what you're going to do, and that's it. That's what you feel, and that's it. And that's the most important thing, I think, the most important thing, because that's where the uniqueness comes in, because it's you've done it, it's your thing. It's not anybody else's, it's your choice.
I think keep making your own stuff. That's a big, big thing. I wish I had known that early on, because I was auditioning a lot and waiting for other people to give me a chance. And now with the internet and all these other outlets, you can write your own things and act in your own stuff and just make really incredible projects without having to wait for someone else to tell you yes. So keep making your own stuff.
There are challenges in every single day. The biggest one, to be honest with you, I think is being able to stay focused, because you can rehearse and you can plan everything and you can think you have a framework that you want to stick with, or a few ideas that you want to remember to keep in your back pocket. And sometimes the craziness of an on-set environment can be so intense that you can find yourself forgetting all of those things that you planned. So actually really, really staying focused and knowing that it's okay to kind of take yourself off into a quiet corner and just remember what it was that you had set out to do.
I always had this really gross, dangerous mentality of the no consideration of failure. Just never even considering the thought of failing. Like, if I want something, I just go until I get it. And that doesn't always work, but...
If we could celebrate every breath that we take, because nothing's a guarantee. If we could celebrate the breath and the exhale, which is being alive, without, oh, my car won't start. Oh, geez, the cat dropped dead. Hey, I think I need a lobotomy. I mean, there are things that are very, very important in life that we don't think about, And one of the most worrisome things that I went through for years is you're freaked out about your past. You're worried, you're scared to death of the future, and that's all you're thinking about. But the now doesn't exist, And I think that's a grave mistake that we make.
One of the things that I was taught that sticks in my mind was a gentleman by the name of Bill Ball, who was the artistic director of the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. And he always talked about failing big. So if you're gonna fail, fail big. And I'm like, I like that philosophy.
I do too.
I'm not a fall back mentality kind of person. People would say, well, you better have another career to fall back on. I'm like, I don't wanna fall back on anything. If I fall, I want to fall forward. I want to see what I'm hitting.
Exactly right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to... I never understood that mentality.
I didn't either.
I never understood it. I'm like, I'm going that way.
I mean, if you're worried about being safe and secure, and if security is your byword, then you're never going to reach out and do anything. I don't think that's going to protect you. Or it's going to give you any kind of genuine satisfaction. If you're worried about that, then
There was an old IQ.
In other words, if you're a sailor, you would never leave port.
Right.
You only care about security.
There was an IQ question. I think it was an IQ question where they had 9 dots.
Yeah.
And you had to connect the dots, I think, with 5 lines without lifting the pencil. The only way you could do it was to go outside the box.
Yeah.
People sit there within it and go, oh man, you can't do it. Well, you can't. Nobody said you can't go outside the box.
Yeah.
I've worked out of necessity. I've worked on things that I would have preferred not to work on. Mm-hmm. But I need to... You've got to live in the real world, and you have kids and responsibility and paying bills like everybody else. When you're young, when I was 20 and I was not a care in the world, it can... I just had such a fixity of purpose, and I wouldn't compromise, but you can afford to when you don't have those other responsibilities. When you're a grown up and you're in the real world, you've got to, So it's taken me. I've not always been completely in control of the reins of the career. And occasionally there have been times when I can direct it and steer it.
I mean, a lot. I think specifically when you're working, you have to Wow, that's such a good question. Sorry. So no, well, I mean, logistically, obviously, just the business of acting, the fact that you're doing certain hours and sometimes you're working all night and doing weird antisocial days at weekends, you'll forget about your social life. That's a sort of sacrifice to commitment. It's nothing quite on the level that Julian sacrifices, but you don't get to see your family, you don't get to see your friends, you are removed from the reality of your life to pursue a given goal. So there is a kind of comparison. I guess you sacrifice a part of yourself because you're exposing either end of the spectrums of acting, whether it's just variations of who you are or whether it's completely dissounding into a different character and persona. Equally valid in my opinion. I don't think there's really a distinction to draw other than people who are good or bad at it. But I think then you do have to give part of yourself no matter what you're doing, and that you don't lose, you sometimes gain actually by doing that, but you have to suppress and control certain instincts that you have in order to actually be true to a character that may not be the same as you, or be driven by the same things as you.